26. Elbow. 26. Elbow. 26. There you go. 26. Here we go, here we go. 26. Here we go. 26. Elbow. 26. Here we go, here we go. 26. 26. Here we go. 26. Here we go. 26. Here we go. 26. Here we go. 26. Here we go, here we go. 26.
Madden 23 gives you multiple new ways to pass the ball. Control the exact strength of your pass by using the passing meter. Try to hit the sweet spot of the passing meter to guarantee control the exact strength of your pass by using the passing meter. Place the ball exactly.
This is a special presentation of EA Sports from the Coliseum in Oakland. Our tribute to the coach, the John Madden Legacy Game. I'm Brandon Gaudin here to take you through the proceedings. And coming up, we're going to tell the story of a man who was truly larger than life and whose impact on the sport of football, certainly it's going to live on for decades and decades to come. Now, we've assembled a couple of rosters featuring some of Coach's favorite players from both yesterday and today. And Coach himself will be on the sidelines for both squads, trying to motivate his guys to victory. Now, I'm joined now by my good friend Charles Davis. CD, your thoughts on John Madden and what he meant to the sport he loves so much?
For me, Brandon, it's the word joy. He brought that to the game of football, brought the game to so many people. He stayed involved his entire life. And moving forward, when you think of football, you're always going to think John Madden.
The Coliseum back to its original 70s glory. What a scene in the East Bay. And we're underway in the John Madden Legacy Game. And he'll get it up past the 20 to about the 22. So it's the NFC stars who will get the ball first. And Charles, as we alluded to, we've got a different era of coach on each sideline. So the man coaching this NFC squad, we'll call him Young John Madden. This is a coach who was trying to establish a foothold in the NFL and on the cusp of doing it very successfully.
Yeah, you think back to that period, those early days as the coach of the Raiders, the late 60s in the AFL, and then in the NFL in the early 70s. Coach was a guy who was ahead of his time. The Raiders were one of the first teams to have mini camps, one of the first to film practice, because he wanted to practice coaching as much as he could. And his teams, they were successful right from the start of his head coaching tenure.
It'll be Sanders to begin the drive. And they'll get to him quickly here as he'll get a yard, just a yard to the 22. So as we mentioned at the top, well, let's take you through the life of John Madden. And, you know, it's very fitting that we're here back in the Bay Area, not just because John's so associated with Raider football, but also because this was where he spent his formative years.
Yeah, he grew up over in Daly City with his buddy John Robinson, who would also become an NFL head coach. He played his high school ball at Jefferson High, eventually wound up playing tackle at the University of Oregon, and later Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. Played well enough that in 1958, he was a 21st round draft pick.
But when this ball's tipped and intercepted, Ron Woodson with a pick. And he is going to score. It's a pick six and an AFC touchdown. So a big defensive play there on the opening drive, no less, as they make the interception and bring it back for the score.
And I think that's a signal for how this defense wants to play. They want to be disruptive, and you know they're going to take some chances.
Well, sometimes it can burn you, but right there, it paid off. So they'll get another shot on offense following that pick six, and now the kick is away. Here comes Devin Hester bringing it out. And he'll be brought down shy of the 20, so the decision to bring it out of the end zone, not a good one. You see the AFC defense heading back out there. After the pick six, they go right back to the air. And his throw's going to be incomplete. But Charles, you mentioned Coach was a 21st round draft pick back in 1958. It was the Philadelphia Eagles who selected him. But unfortunately for John, knee problems, they just continued to dog him. He was hurt in his first training camp, actually never saw the field as a player in the NFL. But it was still during his time with the Eagles, you and I were talking about this before going on air, that you could start to see the light bulb going on for what his career path might entail.
And it went on in a big way, didn't it? Because while he was rehabbing his knee, he started to spend a lot of time breaking down film with the Eagles, with quarterback Norm Van Brocklin, the future Hall of Famer and future head coach in the NFL. Remember, Norm Van Brocklin coached with the Falcons, he coached with the Vikings. And was there during that time. I think Coach Madden realized his love of football and love for teaching, combining all that together, and that meant being a football coach. So in 1960, began his coaching career at a small college south of San Luis Obispo called Allen Hancock, and then later at San Diego State University under another legendary coach, the guy who could throw it around pretty well, Don Coryell.
The AFC making their way out, and it's one of Coach's favorites, another local guy, Tom Brady, who will be at the controls. And boy, Coach always admired the way number 12 could run an offense, and especially his ability to stay calm under pressure.
Tom Brady is a guy who's always looking downfield. He never looks at the rush. He hangs in the pocket, and he makes a throw. He's a cool guy. He's a tough guy. Let me tell you, there's no one calmer in the pocket than Tom Brady.
And I know that Coach has a great appreciation for Tom Brady, who turned 45 back on August 3rd, because Coach coached a guy like him in George Blanda, who played a long time in the NFL. In this game, it features legends and active players. Tom Brady qualifies as both.
Charles, you know, it was in the early 1960s that a young John Madden made the acquaintance of the owner of the Oakland Raiders, one Al Davis, of course, and the two, they really bonded, would become one of the best owner-coach duos in NFL history. And to take it a step further, Al Davis became someone who John referred to as his best friend.
Yeah, 1967, Brandon, Al Davis hired Coach Madden to be a linebackers coach. Remember, this was still the AFL at that point. We had not merged totally with the NFL. And Coach Madden, he paid dividends almost immediately. Helped the Raiders win the AFL title in 1968. And that meant a date with the Green Bay Packers in what was now known as Super Bowl II. But by 1969, at the age of 32, just 32, Brandon, John Madden assumed the mantle of head coach of the Oakland Raiders. And what a ride he, the Raiders, and the NFL were about to go on.
They'll come to the line, needing only 2 yards to gain the first here. They'll try and pound it with a big back Bettis. And he gets it down to the 48, enough for the first. They get 5 out of that one, and it moves to James. Charles, you talked about John Madden and the Raiders going on a ride. Well, try these numbers on for size. So 10 seasons as a head coach, the Raiders won their division 7 times. They finished second the other 3 times, and he became the youngest coach to amass 100 career regular season victories and is still, to this day, the franchise leader in wins.
And when you think about it, that's where that rivalry with Kansas City really took root. As did the expression, commitment.
And now a fumble. Brady loses the football. Points 1, 2, and 3 in their defensive game plan was to get to the quarterback and knock the ball free. They did it there. Luckily, offense hangs on to it.
Yeah, that's got to serve as a wake-up call, though, because they can't afford to let the ball go over to the defense and miss opportunities. And I'm not saying it happened here, but you know what a good rule of thumb is when a play like that occurs? You know who usually recovers it? The guy who missed his block and let his quarterback get hit.
Throwing on 2nd and long. Brady. And he wisely will throw that one away. Charles, you think about all the success that John Madden had as an NFL head coach, and he had plenty, and we talked about it, including the 10 straight winning seasons, a Super Bowl title. But like any great coach, he also suffered through a few tough losses along the way as well.
And Brandon, those tough losses.
And this throw will be intercepted. Picked off by Jalen Ramsey. And they have the football and will take over at the 24-yard line.
Well, I tell you, Brandon, this ball's intercepted, but it is 3rd down. So the silver lining is that since this is so far down the field and there wasn't a big run back associated with it, really this kind of works like a punt. It's not an altogether bad result.
The NFC offense coming out here, and you know, Charles, Coach Madden always said that if he had one drive to win a game and he had to pick a quarterback, he would pick Kenny Stabler. But I think if you asked him to omit any of his Raiders players, there's a good chance the guy he'd select would be Brett Favre.
Brett Favre is always smiling. He's always laughing. He's always talking to someone. He remembers that it's a game. And if it's a game, you should have fun.
And Brandon, that always reminds me of a great movie line where one of the players was telling a coach, every time I say it's a game, you say it's a business. And every time I say it's a business, you say it's a game. With Coach, it was always a game.
And he'll be taken down as that will take us to the end of the first quarter of play. 1 quarter in the books at the Coliseum. What a day. It's the AFC Stars with the early lead. This is the John Madden Legacy game on EA Sports. Following the pickup of 4, here's 2nd and 6. On the counter now, it's Sanders. That one, a first down pickup of 8. The CD, we spoke of some of the Raiders' tough playoff losses through the decade of the 70s, but for one shining season, they put it all together, and that was 1976. You remember a 13-1 regular season, a memorable playoff win over New England. They dominated the Steelers 24-7 in the AFC title game, and then a meeting with the Minnesota Vikings in Super Bowl 11.
Oh, Brandon, what a game that was down at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. A gorgeous 53-degree day, perfect for football. Raiders got out to a 16-0 lead at the half, and Clarence Davis, no relation, although I would certainly claim it, strong on the ground, 137 yards rushing. How about Freddie Blitnikoff, the MVP of that game, catching everything that came his way? Kenny Stabler running the offense with precision, and we all remember the one that sealed it, the grand old man himself, Willie Brown, with the laser-focused eyes, picking off Fran Tarkenton and taking it 75 yards for a touchdown. 32-14 the final score. Raiders have their first Super Bowl title, and we got the iconic shot of Coach Madden being lifted on the shoulder pads of his players and carried aloft as a Super Bowl champ.
Now, meanwhile, here's a second down throw that's knocked away and incomplete. So, Charles, after that Super Bowl title in the 76 season, the Raiders again advanced to the AFC Championship game the following year, but they fell to the Denver Broncos on New Year's Day by a field goal, and that ended their chances for back-to-back titles. And then in 1978, after missing out on the playoffs in that season, John Madden, he actually stepped down as coach of the Raiders January 4th, 1979.
Yeah, that was a surprise for the league because remember, Brandon, he coached 10 seasons in the NFL, but he put everything he had into the Oakland Raiders, into being a head football coach, into guiding, mentoring, loving his players. And he just sort of felt like it was the right time to step away. And even though he was just 42 when he left, even though there would be overtures for a return to coaching in the future, many overtures, he never returned to the sideline.
Even though he didn't, we all know his work with the NFL was far from finished, and a lot of chapters of the John Madden story were still left to be written. The extra effort after the catch makes it good for a gain of 26 and also a first down. Now Brady. Nowhere to turn here, and he's going to go down. Back at about the 37-yard line. Lawrence Taylor gets him for a loss of 10 yards from his linebacker spot.
Okay, I'm not sure you could actually draw up a better pass rush than that one right there. Nowhere to go outside. He had to keep backing up and backing up and backing up. Eventually dropped for a huge loss.
So second and long, and got to be careful not to fall out of field goal range. Another try after the first down sack. Brady, and an incomplete pass. That'll stop the clock here with just under a minute to play in half number one.
Well, partner, guaranteed they approach this play with the idea of making up ground to make third down manageable. Unfortunately, with that incompletion, right back where they started on the last snap. Now they need a big third down play in order to pick up the yardage needed.
And they'll wind up getting this one all the way down inside the 20. Now the AFC going to use the first of their timeouts as they get the stoppage with just under 50 seconds remaining in half number one. So from the 17 now, here's a 1st and 10. Into the red zone, it's Brady. Under pressure, and he'll go down. Back at the 26-yard line. Now another timeout called for by the offense as the clock will stop with 45 seconds to go in the first half. Sacks, a growing theme in this first half. This is second and long. Here's Allen. And the second wave of tacklers is going to get him as they stop him behind the line. Now the defense going to use the first of their timeouts as they stop it here with just under 40 ticks to go in this first half. Need something from deep in the bag of tricks here after first and second down went backwards. It's third and very long. To throw is Brady. This will be caught by Brown. And he'll only get this to the 17, well shy of what he needed. They do get 10 back, but still a ways to go on fourth. Now the NFC going to take a timeout, their second. So that means they're down to one remaining here as we head toward halftime. On now is Vinatieri as he'll try the field goal. From the left hash, this from 34. The career leader in field goals made knocks that one through. And that will extend their lead even further. Still a little bit of time left here in the second quarter, but they do get 3 before the half and expand that lead.
And they have to be happy about that. And we haven't met a team yet that doesn't put an emphasis on trying to get points on the board in the last 2 minutes of a half. They'll be real excited to have those up on the board.
Hester to return from his end zone. And no alley to be found. The coverage was solid, and he's dropped at the 18. The NFC heading back out. Hall of Famer Randy Moss a part of this offense. And Coach Madden, boy, he always appreciated the ferociousness with which number 84 attacked the football in the air.
As Randy Moss says, just chunk it up there, dog, and I'll go get it.
And, Coach, boy, did he ever go get it. Over 15,000 receiving yards, 156 touchdowns. And how about this? From his rookie year of 1998 until 2009, those were his prime seasons, right? He led the league in touchdowns 5 times, but even more so, He showed us all how to go up and get it. Great body control. No one's ever done it better playing the ball in the air.
4 yards remain for second down. And this time they'll just keep this on the ground. And he's going to have a first down, but not sure it'll matter as the clock will continue to run. Now the NFC going to use their third and final timeout as they'll stop it with 13 seconds to play in half number 1. They'll throw on first down with Favre. That'll be incomplete with 9 seconds now showing on the clock. So now 2nd and 10 after the incompletion on first down. Play action. It's Favre. And this is incomplete with a clock showing just 3 seconds left. And you see the clock almost empty, so this is likely the last play in the second quarter. They'll throw now on the final play. Going up top for Kupp. Into double coverage, and it's intercepted. Picked up. Well, coming up in the second half, we'll run through John's post-coaching triumphs. But for now, we present a very special tribute to the man of the hour, narrated by Trey Mosley.
What comes to mind when you hear the name Madden? Is it the coach who led the Raiders to their first Super Bowl victory? Perhaps it's the broadcaster who entertained millions of fans. Or maybe it's the video game known simply by his name. But no matter what comes to mind when you hear the name Madden, everyone thinks of one thing: football.
The core of it was football. It's the greatest game in the world. The left goes to the right goes to the left.
Madden is on the field. He wants to know if it's real. John Madden goes on the shoulders of his players.
In my mind, John Madden is the most important figure in the history of professional football. Show me somebody else who did it on 3 levels the way John did it. There's nobody.
We now proceed to the start of the second half. Boy, Charles said that is really well done. Coach was something else, wasn't he?
I'm reminded what Al Davis said when he was inducted coach of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Brandon. He loved the game. He loved his team. He loved the Raiders. He loved this league. And you can see it with everything he does.
No doubt. But it's quite possible, though, that now he would say, hey, enough of that. Let's play some football. Well, the second half forthcoming from Oakland. Starts with a run by Allen. So now, Charles, to pick up the story we've been telling, John Madden at 42, he had just completed a 10-year stint as the coach of the Raiders. He wants to step away a bit from the grind of coaching, but he doesn't want to step away from the game of football. So he ends up signing on with CBS in 1979 to try his hand at broadcasting. And much like his coaching career, he was pretty much an instant success.
Partner, he really connected with the people right from the start. And people may not remember, he wasn't even on the #1 team in the beginning. He worked his way up. But the same things that made him a great coach made him a great broadcaster. The ability to show the big picture, yet break it down into the details. That's what he did with his teams. That's what he did with the people. That way, he was simple to understand, yet insightful for viewers. And he did with that big personality that he had, one that connected with everyone.
They'll run with Allen, and he is going going to lose yardage here.
So for Coach Madden, Charles, by 1981, his broadcasting career is really taking off. He's elevated to the network's #1 booth that calls all the big matchups. And he gets the plum assignment of calling Super Bowl 16, 49ers and Bengals, and he's teamed up with Pat Summerall. And that pairing ultimately would go on to be one of the most influential in sports broadcasting history.
Influential not just in us listening to them. Remember, they went on and called 8 Super Bowls together. But how they put together kind of the template that all of us broadcasters follow now. Sitting down with the head coaches and the quarterbacks and the stars of each team before a ball game to get extra information. And the way that those two paired together, Pat Summerall, short, concise, to the point, and turned it over to Coach Madden to fill in all the big details.
That gain on 3rd down, good for 28.
As you mentioned, CD, talking about John Madden, the broadcaster, he called 8 Super Bowls with Pat Summerall, 3 more with Al Michaels later in his career. He spent nearly 3 decades in the booth all told. And not only was he beloved for his mannerisms, we know that, but he was an innovator as well.
Yeah, Brandon, you talk about things like the telestrator, which totally became identified with him, and now it's a staple for all analysts to have in the booth. And then you think about things like turducken on Thanksgiving, when he used words like boom and pow. He helped create the All-Madden team. He was a very popular commercial pitch man. And even the Madden cruiser would... And you had to be someone to get a ride on it, too.
9th play of the drive coming up, and certainly not an easy one on 3rd and long. Throwing now is Brady. He finds his man, complete. It's Gonzalez. And all the way inside the 15 before they drop it.
Now, CD, we did get a little ahead of ourselves talking about John Madden, the broadcaster in the 90s and 2000s, because there was another product during that time period that he became quite famous for, and it's something that you and I know a little bit about, and that's the video game that bears his name. Originally John Madden Football when it was first released back in the late 1980s, and now known the world over simply as Madden.
And Coach saw this originally as a way to teach the game of football. The early designs were for a 7-on-7 game, but he said no chance. He would not sign off on it. He wanted to be as realistic as possible. He told him, call me when it's 11-on-11. And he got his wish.
Yeah, after that debut, Madden the video game continued to pick up steam through the 90s in a big way. And John himself, many will remember, was a commentator for the series for many years. And now here we are in the 2020s, and this game has sold somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 million copies.
And he's going to be taken down, sacked back around the 18-yard line. Jack Youngblood drops him for a loss of 10, and it's going to be 4th and long. And And Vinatieri's kick is good. And that will extend their lead even further. So that maybe not a knockout blow, but I suppose certainly every little bit helps when you're trying to salt one away in the fourth.
Well, the possibility of being beaten by 2 late touchdowns or at least sent to overtime does exist. But time, definitely a big factor at this stage of the game, is in their favor.
This taken in at the goal line. And up to about the 26-yard line, just across the 25. Ready to begin their next drive here, the NFC offense. And you're still in this game. I mean, yeah, you haven't scored. Offense obviously has struggled, but you're only 2 scores down, so all hope not lost.
Not at all, because we're talking about the NFL, and teams can score fast in this league. Quick strikes, you're right back in it. You're exactly right. Keeping hope alive.
Throwing is far. And this one incomplete. Too much contact to hold on to that one, and it's 3rd down. The numbers for the NFC on 3rd down, not good. 0 for 4 thus far. This is 3rd and 7. Throwing there, but this pass is going to wind up incomplete.
Well, how about the coverage we just saw break out on 3rd down? Dime defense, blanketed the field with extra defensive backs and speed, unable to find an open hole to complete that pass.
They're going on 4th down. It's Favre. And it's incomplete. They cannot convert, and they turn it over. So 1st and 10 now from the 30. Now a carry for Allen. Knifes his way forward here, but just 3 yards on the play. 2nd down. So, CD, you look at the accumulation of John Madden's achievements in the world of football, the coaching success, the Super Bowl title, the incredible career as a broadcaster with 12 Emmy Awards, Madden the video game. It was very fitting back in 2006 that John Madden got the call to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
A more deserving person you will not find. He gave an incredible speech on that day, Brandon. So many of his former Raider players were in attendance. He talked about how he envisioned that when the last person turns off the lights in the hall every night, that the bus talk football amongst themselves. And what a discussion that might be.
Yeah, he finished his speech by saying, "Today feels like the 2nd time in my life that I'm being carried off on the shoulders of others. Yet instead of off the field, it's into the Hall of Fame. This has been the sweetest ride of them all." They stay on the ground with Allen. And this will not get close to the 1st down marker as he's brought down at the 26. He has just been completely taken out of this game. We're in the 4th quarter. He's single digits in the rushing department.
And I know we look at him because the numbers do go to his production. But how about the guys blocking for him? They don't just have his number as a ball carrier. They've got the number of the offensive line and the other guys because they're getting to him before he can get started.
Vinatieri's kick is good, and that will extend their lead even further. So the starting field position was terrific following the surprising turnover on downs, but the end result, only 3 points.
Simply stated, I think you have to look at that as a missed opportunity.
And after the made field goal, here's Adam Vinatieri to kick it away. Taken at the goal line. The offense for the NFC ready to get their next drive started. And last time, went for it on 4th, didn't get it. See if they can pick themselves up off the mat and do better this go-around.
Sometimes I have this vision of coaches writing notes to themselves before a game, and sometimes that note says, be aggressive, stay aggressive. Maybe that's what we saw in the last possession.
Yeah, they were very aggressive. This time, will it result in points? We'll find out. Favre's throw pulled in by Kittle. 9 yards, not quite enough, and they'll be left now with 3rd and 1. From the gun, it's Favre. And able to get this one across the 45 before he's brought down. Now the NFC going to take a timeout, their 2nd, as they get it right at the 32nd mark of this 4th quarter. First and 10, it's Favre. That'll be caught by Cobb. And he'll take this from 147-yard line to the other. A gain of 6. One final shot. They'll look to throw. Pressure, and the AFC gets to him for the sack. So it's a win here for the AFC on an incredible afternoon of football and remembering the life of John Madden. Before we go, one final message. And for all of us at EA Sports, this one's for you, Coach.
I just say this, I thank you all very much. This has been the sweetest ride of them all.